hotkeys set up for everything. So I just
Oh,
push a button and it's like broadcasting. I can push a hotkey and it'll switch scenes on XSplit. It's spectacular.
You're such a nerd.
I know, but it's great.
Nerd.
Nerd alert. We're recording, I assume.
Fuck yeah, we are.
Fuck yeah. Alright, cool. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Rabble of Thrones. This week, it's just me and Tyler.
2 dudes and some thrones.
On his birthday.
What up?
Yeah. And binging like crazy.
I don't know why that... Oh, that's why. It's on the other computer.
Oh, the other computer. Alright, well, while he's doing that, I will tell you that we are going to discuss the episode A Man Without Honor.
Without honor.
Which we really could be talking about a few people in this episode.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, who exactly are they talking about?
I mean, both. I mean, there's a few people that definitely fall into this. So, we'll start with the first person who we could be talking about. So Theon wakes up and realizes that Osha's gone.
Bitch left.
Man, she fucked off and probably took the kids.
And didn't bring the bacon.
And we all know. Well, but it is a BYOB situation, right? It always bring your own bacon.
True.
Because you can't share bacon.
Maybe he thought she left to go get bacon.
I don't think he did, because the next scene is him beating the fuck out of that dude for letting Hodor and the cripple...
Did they tell him? Or did he just figure it out?
Who tell?
Did his guys tell him?
Tell him. Well, they're just like, well, you were busy fucking her anyways, so like if you were actually paying attention, they wouldn't have got away.
You stupid.
So
think your cock.
Theon is always thinking with his cock.
Not for longer.
So well, spoilers. So he blames the dudes. So they after he kicks the shit out of the guy, they get on the horses and let's go find Bran and Rickon.
Rickon.
So we see Bran and Hodor and Osha and Rickon, and they're outside the house that they sent those orphan boys to, and Bran's like, well, we could go there. They'll give us food. Like, and then Osha's like, nobody can know where we are, because the second they do, like, Theon will just torture them until they give us up.
Truth.
So, we got to keep moving. And that's the last we see of them this episode, is they're still moving.
Yep.
So then we go to Mr. Jon Snow beyond the wall, having a little nap. And I like how he subtly grabs some boob while he's sleeping.
Pop the feel, why not?
Yeah, whatever. And then she wakes up and she's like, "Did you pull a knife on me? Oh wait, that's your boner. Oh wait,
that's your bone.
Oh, boners." And then she's like, she starts getting on him can't be the first time you've pressed your bone up against somebody. And then he blushes. And she's like, wait, it is. And then she's like, how old are you, boy? And he's like, I'm a man of the Night's Watch. So she keeps going on about why don't you bang chicks? And I took the oath. Yeah. We're not allowed to do it.
Well, do you do it with each other?
Yeah, so she's like, so you guys just do it with each other? And he's like, well, no. And she's like, you guys have goats or anything?
Sheep?
Yeah, sheep. And he's like, no. And she's like, so just your hands? And he's like, well, I guess. And
not at all.
And then she's like, well, no wonder you guys are so miserable all the time.
Yep. Makes sense.
Yeah. So then they get into why, why the Night's Watch are after the wildlings, and she's like, you're always invading our lands, and he's like, whoa, you guys are the ones coming across the wall invading our lands. And she's like, these lands don't belong to you. They're ours. And he's like, I'm son of Ned Stark.
Yeah.
So, I have the blood of the first men in me. This is just as much my land as it is yours. And as soon as he says Ned Stark, her eyes changed. Like there was something.
There was
Yeah, wait a minute. Okay. And then she says to him, "Well, why are you always fighting us then? Or why are you
don't
fighting
you join
us
or something?"
Right. So then we go to Harrenhal, and they're hanging some dudes, trying to figure out.
It's trying to figure out who tried to kill.
Now he didn't really try to kill Tywin. He was just killing other dude.
Yeah, but you don't know that, right? It could. You got to assume that somebody's out to kill Tywin, especially with this massive war that's going on.
Right. So, oh, you fucking prick. Anyways, so Tywin tells the mountain, like, hey,
Mountain number 2.
Right, mountain number 2 of 3.
Yes.
Hey, like, figure this shit out. Like, what's going on here? And then he says, like, burn the villages, fucking make people pay. Let them know what it costs to go against the Lannisters.
Yep.
And, okay, let me ask you a question.
Uh-oh.
Am I coming through weird at all?
No.
Okay. No, I'm getting dropped frames on the stream.
You sound fine to me.
Okay, cool. Because, yeah, you sound fine and your video's coming in through fine.
Excellent.
So, all right, cool.
Excellent.
So the video on YouTube might look a little wanky. Whatever.
Oh.
Okay. So he tells him to burn the villages down, and then he leaves. And so then he starts talking to Arya. She had brought in some mutton. He's like, "Is that fucking mutton?" She's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Mutton fucking blows. Hate that shit." He's like, "But you fucking eat it, because I like watching other people suffer." So she's like, "Oh no, I'll eat in the kitchen." He's like, "Just fucking eat." So she eats. And he starts monologuing out the window, like, about legacies. And Arya's, like, seriously considering jamming the knife in the back of his neck. Like, seriously considering it.
Yeah.
So
Sharp, too.
Yeah, so they go back and forth a bit. He starts talking about the Targaryens and how Harrenhal became the ruin that it is.
Yeah.
Because the dragons came and burned it all down. And so he starts telling her this, and she goes on about, like, naming who was riding the dragons and this and that. And the girl had a sword, and it was named something, whatever. I don't even remember. Anyways, and he's like, "Hey, like, how do you know all this shit again?" And she's like, "Well, my father taught me all this stuff." And he's like, "Oh, well-read stonemason."
Yep.
He's like, "I haven't met
I don't stonemason."
Right. And then she goes, "Have you met many stonemasons?" And he's like, "Don't fucking sass me."
So good.
And then, okay, so seriously, because then she walks out, and he corrects her. He says, "Milord." He's like, "If you're gonna pretend to be a commoner, at least talk like one."
Yeah.
And she gives this spiel about her mom teaching her how to speak properly.
Yeah.
And it's like, how does he not realize?
Yeah, how doesn't he put the 2 and 2 together, right?
He knows she's missing. He knows, like, so he knows Arya's missing. That okay, but he knows that she's lying about who she is. He knows that, and he knows now for sure that she's highborn. How does he not just put 2 and 2 together and just assume that it's Arya Stark?
I don't know, man.
He's not a stupid guy.
No, he's not. And maybe he does. He has figured it out and just doesn't give a shit.
Maybe it's because in the books it's Roose Bolton.
Maybe.
And it wouldn't make sense, like, because it would throw everything into fucking chaos if he knew that it was Sansa, right?
Yeah.
Or not Arya, sorry, not Sansa. Sorry, I was looking at my note for the next scene. I don't know. Like to me, it doesn't make sense that he doesn't realize it. But if he does realize it, it really like fucks up everything.
It really screws with a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Because how does she get out of there without killing him?
Yeah, she doesn't.
And you can't. Anyways, the other thing I like is he says to her. This was a little bit earlier on, but he says to her like, "You remind me of my daughter."
Yeah.
Which is pretty. This episode has some really good Cersei scenes too.
I did like the scene with Cersei and Tyrion.
Yeah, like
fucking great scene.
That probably their best scene together.
Yeah. Wow, and I mean they actually liked each other in that scene.
No way.
They tolerated each other.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I always think that Tyrion doesn't hold any like ill will towards her.
Right.
He just she hates him. But he doesn't really he doesn't hate her. Not at this point, anyways. Right. I'm sure he does now.
Yes.
But definitely not at this point. So we were at Sansa, I guess is... Oh, yeah, she's walking down the hallway and she sees the Hound and she's like, I should have come to you earlier and thank you for, not letting those dudes rape me. That was, super cool of you. And he's like...
Man.
He's like, it doesn't take a lot of courage for a dog to chase away a rat. I'm like, okay, I guess. And she says something about what did she say?
She said something about killing.
Right, and he's like your father killed people, and she's like, well, it was his duty, and he's like, nah, he lied. He's like, killing is the sweetest thing. I'm like, that's kind of weird. But that was the end of that scene, and it was just kind of like, oh no, because he says, you'll be thankful, for me, one day when
between you and
when I'm what's standing between you and Joffrey.
Yep.
So, so then we go to Karth. And Zaro is pleading with Daenerys, let me help you find these dragons. We're gonna get the 13 dudes. We're all gonna come together and we're gonna figure out who stole your dragons. And she's like, I think you're in on it. And he's like, bro, let's go open my vault with the key here and see what your dragons could buy me that I don't already have. I got it all.
Exactly.
I don't need your fucking dragons. So, and she was being a real bitch in this scene to him.
Real bitch.
Real bitch. Although, spoiler. So, where were we? Because that was the end of that scene. She just
do we head into the meeting right away or no?
No, that's still later. So then we go back to Jon Snow and Ygritte, and my note here is that there's way too much exposition. They just explain too much, about the Night's Watch and the free people, and I'm just I don't I get it. You gotta explain it, but I'm just just shut up.
Better.
Just shut up. And then, but we do get the first nothing Jon Snow.
Yes. The famous line.
Right. And because she was what was she talking about? Sex,
about,
of course.
Yeah, it's her.
Yeah. And he's
bang me.
No, it wasn't that. Not quite at that scene yet. Because she was she was saying to him you know how to, you don't know how to do it, and he's like, I know how to do it. Right. And then she says, nothing, Jon Snow, and I'm like, all right, cool. I guess. So, the Lannister dude returns to tell Robb, Cersei's answer to his demands.
What she said. And
basically, he tells her,
fuck you.
She gave you 2 middle fingers, ripped up the sheet, and wiped her ass with it.
Basically.
Right. So.
Nose in it. Peed on it.
Right. So, and, Robb's not surprised by this. He knew that was going to be the case. So, he's like, all right, well, what do we do with this fuck? And they're like, oh, we don't have room for him here. We don't have room for him there. Well, build him a new cell. Okay, cool, but that's going to take time. All right, well.
Put him in with his cousin.
Put him with the Kingslayer. And hey, Karstark, have your fucking kid watch them. Okay, cool. So everybody leaves, and Roose stays behind to like talk to to talk to Rob.
Yes.
And Talisa comes in, and she's like, "Can I talk to you for a minute?" And Roose gives this look, like
seriously,
the most foreshadowing look you'll ever see in any show ever. He looks at her, he looks back at Rob, he walks out of the tent, he turns again, and it's just like this, like, you know, like, you made a mistake look. And it's like everybody who knew about what was coming, like, that was a nod to them.
Right.
But anybody who's just watching the show for the first time would be like,
what the?
They wouldn't even notice it.
They wouldn't even notice the look.
No idea. Wouldn't even notice it. And, I mean, I know my first time through the show, who the fuck's Roose Bolton?
Who the fuck is Roose Bolton?
Right? Like, until it happens, Roose Bolton, he's just another one of those dudes, those faceless dudes. So,
yeah,
he's the guy with the really deep voice. So where were we? Okay. So we need supplies for the men, blah blah blah. So I'm going to this place. I'll take you with me. The maester will show you what he's got. And then you got all kinds of new shit.
Yep.
So
all right.
Yeah. So then back to Theon. And they're at the farmhouse that we saw Bran and Rickon at earlier, and the dogs have lost the scent, so they don't know what's going on. And Maester Luwin's like, yeah, you know, Theon, we should probably go back. Like, you know, we'll find them tomorrow. And Theon's like, what does he say? He's like, these men already treat me like a fool and a eunuch. A fool and a eunuch.
I did like that foreshadowing for sure.
Yeah, just like
that's freaking awesome.
Within 2 minutes, like two of the biggest like foreshadowing moments possible.
They're pretty much by the same people, by the Boltons, both of them.
Exactly. Ooh, I didn't even. Yeah, that's right. So then his first mate buddy, whose name I can never remember, he's like, "Hey, Theon, like, I got something to show you," and he shows him like walnut shells, and and we saw earlier that Rickon was eating walnuts, so safe to assume walnut shells, walnuts. Rickon, you know, the kids are here somewhere. He's like, we got this. We'll figure it. Get rid of that guy. So he sends Maester Luwin back to Winterfell.
Dagmir is his name.
Dagmir, thank you.
You're welcome.
So. Alright, so then we go back to Karth, and Jorah shows up, and he's like, oh my god, I just heard what happened, I should have never left. Never fucking leaving your side again. And this scene is fucking awful. Like, she's just like, I don't know who I am, I don't know who my people are, blah, blah, blah. And, like, Jorah's like, oh, trust me. And she's like, why should I trust you? Like, he's the only guy that's been there for you the whole time.
Yeah. You should probably give it a go.
Maybe. I don't know. For shits and gigs.
So
he's like, I'll do whatever you need me to do. Tell me what it is. I want to help you. And she says, find my dragons. And then he just leaves. So then we're back above the wall. Beyond the wall. I'm an idiot. Fuck, I'm stupid tonight. So Jon and Ygritte are walking along, and she's like, hey, man, where are your boys at?
Are we there yet?
Yeah, are we there yet? And he's like, I'm going to turn this car around.
Dad,
and
are we there yet?
He's like, we're not far. Don't worry. We're almost there. She's like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't think you know where your dudes are. He's like, I know where they are. We're almost there. Shut up. And then she's like, you know, I'm going to tell them that we had sex and it was great and you forced me, and then I just, when I thought it was over, he said, "Turn around." It was good. Like her Jon Snow impression was pretty spot on.
Turn around.
Yeah. So, and she's like, "Well, I'm gonna tell them that you did this anyways. So why don't we actually do it?" And he's like, "No." And he reaches for the sword, and she's like, "All right, all right." And then she fucking pulls the rope, knocks him down, and runs off. And so he goes to kind of like chase her, and yep.
And finds the rope has been cut.
Yep. And then he's
surrounded.
Surrounded. Doesn't look good for Mr. Jon Snow.
No.
Does not look good.
Well, not at all.
So we go to Sansa, and she's
dreaming
of her would-be rape.
Yes. And what would have happened if she did not get saved?
That's right. And then she wakes up, and she looks down, and she's
it's that time.
It's that time. It's that time. So now she's freaking out because now she can have babies.
Yep.
And she's like, "Oh my god, the queen can't find out." And then
Shay walks in.
Shay walks in, and she's like, "What do you do?" Because she's like cutting the friggin' like the sheet and cutting out part of the bed. And Shay walks in. She's like, "What's going on?" And she says like the queen can't know. And she's like, "Okay, we'll flip the mattress over." Just as they do that, the other handmaiden comes in. She walks in. She sees what's going on. She's like, "Oh, well, I'll see you guys later," and then starts scurrying down the stairs. And Shay catches up with her and puts a knife to her throat and says, "You don't fucking tell anybody."
Shut the fuck up, woman.
Right. So she scurries off. Shay goes back up, and there's the Hound.
Yeah.
Just like chilling.
Do you think so here's one of the points where the Hound really could have looked out for Sansa.
Right, but
and not said anything.
Yeah, but her getting her, like, especially with where this went, like, it wasn't as big a deal as Sansa had made it out, right? Like, she was freaking out, and then when she goes, because she talks to Cersei right in the next scene, and Cersei's like, like, hey, don't worry, like, this, it sucks, but, like, just love your kids, right? Like, that's what as a mom, that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
So then she goes to see Cersei, and they talk about the birds and the bees, and she tells her that, Joffrey's always been difficult, and she was in labor for a day and a half, and, that when she was having him, that Robert was off hunting, and she's like, I always I had Maester Pycelle and an army of nurses, and then I had my brother. Oh, sweet brother.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and then she's talking. Or Cersei says, "You may never love the king, but you'll love his children."
Yep.
And then Sansa says, "Well, shouldn't I love Joffrey?" And Cersei's like, "Well, you can try."
Yeah.
You can try.
You can try. Good luck with that.
All right. So, Jamie's all locked up and covered in shit, and they throw his cousin in. It starts with an A. It's like Alton or something. Anyways, I don't think it really matters.
He doesn't last very long.
No. So they throw him in, and he, they get to chit-chat, and obviously they're related, so they got, common...
Yeah, Alton, you were right. Good for you.
Oh, man, I might get good at this eventually.
Well done.
So, Jamie's kind of a dick, though. I mean, even before what he does to get out of this, like...
Yeah.
The way he's presenting himself... is he trying to be a dick? Like, I don't understand, because his character changes so much from this season to the next season.
Right.
And am I supposed to think that he's trying to be a dick here? He doesn't want people to like him?
I don't know, to be totally honest.
Because this completely changes. Like,
He might be he might be trying to be such a dick that they just kill him.
right.
Right? Like if they kill him, there's like war is coming. Like you are screwed.
I guess, but I mean, like, I don't know. So he's being a dick to
Yes.
this kid, and the kid's like, "Hey, man, like I squired for you once," and so he tells him the story of him like the day, and Jamie's like, now I don't know if Jamie actually remembered or if he was pretending, but he put in stuff that made it seem like he did actually remember after the guy like jogged his memory a bit,
And he probably did.
Sure, I mean, whatever. So and then the kid's like I couldn't go back to the table at the back of the feast where I couldn't even see the table and tell everybody what it was like to squire for you. It was like the greatest day of my life.
Yeah.
And then so Jamie's like, well, I kind of understand what you're talking about. And he's like, how could you possibly understand what I'm talking about? And then Jamie's like, well, I was 16 once. I squired for somebody.
Yep.
And he's like, oh. And so he tells him a story about how he squired for Barristan Selmy, which would be an awesome dude to squire for. And he's like, whoa, what was it like? And he's like, he was an artist. He was a painter. Only painted in red. I'm like, that's such a good line. So he tells him the story, and then he says, I was a terrible squire. Because he did compliment the kid. He said, you were a good squire because when I needed you, you were there, and when I didn't need you, you fucked off. You were out of the way.
You knew when to get the fuck out.
Right, and he's like, I was in the way. He couldn't move without stepping on me. And then, the only good thing is like when one of the bandits tried to attack me, which basically means that Jamie fucked him up, and then Jamie was never a squire again.
Right.
Because he's too good to be a squire.
Yes.
So then he starts saying like, oh, like I'm not really good at being a prisoner. Like this is not for me. He's like, and then he's like, oh, Ned Stark was probably a great prisoner. But he's like, I can't do it. And then the guy's like, oh, well, have you thought of anything? Like, do you have a plan? And he's like, I got a little bit of a plan, but it wouldn't have worked until right now when you showed up. And he's like, oh, well, what do you need me to do? And he's like, die.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then get the freaking shit kick out of him.
Bashes his fucking skull in.
Yeah. Just
so
useless.
After he bashes it, he's like twitching on the ground, and Karstark's son like looks in and he's like, oh fuck, like shit, I better get in there. So he goes in, and Jamie puts the fucking chains around his neck and chokes him out, fucks off.
Yup.
He's a free man. So back to... What's that?
Not for long.
Not for long. So we go back to Karth, and we see... What's that?
It's meeting time.
No, not yet. Well, almost. So, we...
the Jorah scene happens.
Yes, Jorah goes to see the Mask Lady. And...
was painting some dude's back.
She's painting his bare ass. So I guess there was an ass in this episode.
There was an ass, but... Yeah.
So... The one thing... Did you notice what she said, though? When she was... Right as she was painting him. Did you catch the line?
I don't think so.
Okay, so she's painting him, and she says to Jorah, she's like, this man is traveling to Old Valyria. Those who travel close to Old Valyria need protection.
Oh.
Oh, and where does Jorah travel to?
Old Valyria.
And what does he get when he's in Old Valyria? Yes, the Rocky Hand.
I checked to make sure it was still there.
That's right. Hold on, let me check. Oh boy, yep, still there.
There.
So I thought that was interesting. I liked these.
Yeah,
See, I like picking up all this stuff. So he said, he's like, I need to find her dragons. I need to know what's going on. And she's like, you love her. And then she's like, "Are you ever gonna betray her again?" And he says, "No." And she's like, "All right, she's with the thief right now."
Yep.
So, flashes to or cuts to the 13, the meeting. I don't know what do they call it? Whatever. Anyways,
Well, it's the 13. It's the meeting of the 13.
sure. And so they're like the one dude, the what is he? The second richest man in Karth.
Well,
Right?
yeah.
And so he's like, it's probably better that you don't have those dragons, because if it was up to me, I would just kill them anyways, because like you shouldn't have them. And
Right.
they're like, yeah, you don't really need your dragons. And so then the warlock guy speaks up, and he's like, well, I think that the mother of dragons should have her dragons. Like I will help you find them. And then he's like, because I know where they are.
Because I have them.
And she's like, well, where are they? And he's like, they're at my place, the House of the Undying.
Yeah.
She's like, what the fuck are they doing there? And he's like, well, the King of Karth said whatever it was, right?
King Karth and I decided we would take
Yeah.
them.
And they're like, wait a minute, there's no King of Karth. And then Zaros speaks up, and he's like, well, that was the other part of the deal.
Right now.
Yeah, because like now I'm the king. I'm the king. It's me. I'm the king. And they're like,
Crazy dude multiplies himself 12 times and kills
exactly, just slits all their throats. They're all like, what? That's how it goes.
That's the hand motion.
Hand motion for this episode. So
I like how we've kept that going.
we really have,
Without even trying.
It's been pretty good. So they're all dead, and Jorah shows up like just in the nick of time, stabs the dude, but then his clothes just fall, like he's not even there.
It wasn't the dude.
And then he's like,
got the dude.
And then he's like, where are you gonna go? Like, I got the dragons. You're gonna have to come see me. So, yeah. So then we go back to the Karstark dudes caught Jaime, and they're bringing him back.
Yep.
And oh right, sorry. The dude's like, oh, Lady Stark. And then Brienne's like, oh, I'm gonna kill you if you come in here. And he's like, what? Like, I'm just trying to get her attention. Like, Brienne, why don't you chill the fuck out?
Chill,
Yeah.
girl. Just chill.
So they're like, oh, Karstark comes in. He's like, I'm fucking cutting this dude's head off. Like, I don't even care. Catelyn's like, no, you're not.
Killed my son. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, he killed my son. Yeah, well, he threw mine out a window. And this is not where he dies. And so Karstark's like, all right, well, when your fucking son gets back, I'm demanding this fucker's head.
Yep. No doubt.
So,
I want that motherfucker's head on a motherfucking spike.
right. So now we get the Tyrion Cersei scene.
Yeah,
which
is fantastic scene.
It's very good. And so he's reading a scroll, and she's like, how many times can you read the same scroll? Like, it's not, the words aren't changing. And he's like, Stannis's boats are wherever. He says it's 4 or 5 days away.
5.
Right. 4. He says 5, but 4 if the wind's with them.
Right.
So, so they've got 200 ships. That's way more than we got. Don't worry. So they're talking strategy and what they're gonna do, and then he's like, had your son like acted more like a king, none of this would be happening. Like, he really fucked up, or you really fucked up with this guy.
Really.
She's like, I can't control him, and he's like, I know. And they go into like, this is where she did she admit to him before? She did, right? That they were Jaime's kids. So, and she's like, yeah, I hoped he would be more Jaime than, and he's like, oh, he's got Robert in him, and she kind of gives him a look like, why would you even say that? So, and then she's like, sometimes I wonder if this is the price for our sins.
Yeah.
and then he says the line about like inbreeding, like gods would flip a coin, and it would be like if they would be crazy or not crazy. And he's like, well, you beat the odds. He's like, Tommen and Marcella are like the best kids in the world. Yeah. So
won the lottery there.
Yeah. So we're back to the camp for the Starks and the Karstarks, and they're getting rowdy, and they just want to kill the Kingslayer. They just want him dead, and they keep drinking, and it's more likely to happen. So Bran says to Catelyn, like, "Hey, he's not gonna last the night, because nobody's gonna want to defend a Lannister."
Nope. Especially drunk off their ass.
Right. So then
game over, man.
Right. So she goes to see Jaime, and she tells the guard, like, "Hey, piss off, I got to talk to him." And he's like, "I'm under orders." She's like, "I gave you new orders. Get the fuck out of here." So she goes to talk to him, and I love that he looks at Brienne. He's like, "Is that a woman?" Like, just like so awesome, because he makes reference twice to like how big she is, right?
Yeah.
So she tells him that he's a man without honor, and he goes on. He's like, you take so many vows, and this is where you start to get the sympathy for him, but he's still such an arrogant prick in this scene.
True.
Like, but he's like, you take, your pledge to your father, like to your family, to your king, to the innocent. He's like, well, what happens when your father hates the king, and what happens when the king kills the innocent? He's like, it's too hard to keep track of. So, she still gives him some more shit, and he's like, well, I've only ever been with Cersei. And, dear old Ned came back from a war with a bastard kid.
Yeah.
And so
that didn't well.
Yeah, and so she's not a fan of that. And so she gets Brienne's sword. And then we cut to Theon in Winterfell. And he's like, I told you all that if you would cooperate, everything will be fine. Well, here's what happens when you don't cooperate. And boom, there's like 2 burned kids. Like charred children. And it's like, holy fuck, he burned Bran and Rickon.
Not cool, man. Not cool.
And Maester Luwin is not happy.
Wow,
obviously.
Who would be happy?
Obviously. And then we get credits.
Yeah, which was wild.
It was good. Like, I mean, again, spoiler, we all know that it wasn't Bran and Rickon. But did you think that it was? Like, at any point, like after you watched this episode, did you think it was?
No.
Yeah, neither did I. I never thought that it was actually them.
Not for a second. Yeah. Not especially when it was.
And it's because it's the next episode when we find out that it's not, right?
Yeah, and I mean, like, you sent Maester Luwin away,
right? Not because you're gonna burn the kids, because you're gonna lie about burning the kids. Because if they were actually there, you would actually burn them in front of him,
exactly,
and then he would know. So, can we talk about the big news that came out this week?
We sure can.
All right. So, George R.R. Martin posts on his website that sadly, The Winds of Winter
finish it.
Will not be released before the show airs.
Yep. He missed his 2015 deadline.
Now,
jerk.
I read what he wrote.
Yep.
He's like, I have chapters done, but I don't have as much as people think done. So, How many? And I mean, there's chapters that have been available online, right? That you could read. So does he just have those chapters done?
I, I don't know.
Is he the laziest man on the planet?
He must be.
Because what was the last one called? Dance Dragons?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Came out in 2012.
Jesus.
So that's 4 years ago.
Slacker.
I mean, he could have had this book done by now. Does he wake up? What does he do on a daily basis? That's what I want to know. What does George R. R. Martin do that takes 4 years to write one book?
Dance of Dragons was 2011.
2011, even worse. That's 5 years now.
Okay, so...
But we'll give him 4, because it's just 2016.
Right, so A Game of Thrones...
Right,
First
96.
book, 96. Clash of Kings, 98. Storm of Swords, 2000. Feast of Crows, 2005. Dance of Dragons, 2011. So that's 6 years.
Why?
So it went 2, 2, 5,
6. Right. And I was talking to somebody today, and I didn't think about this in my head, because I didn't read the books. I'm on record as not having read the books. But
Right.
So if you read the books as they were coming out, so think of the end of the third book for Jon Snow.
Right.
Wait, what would have happened at the end of the third book for Jon Snow? Okay, because in the fourth book, there's no Daenerys, there's no Jon Snow, there's no Tyrion. Right?
At the end of the third book, Jon is the Lord Commander.
Okay. At the end of the third book? Okay. What about Tyrion? There was something then, a cliffhanger-y thing with Tyrion. Oh, wasn't it when he killed his dad?
Tyrion is on trial for Joffrey's murder. Da-da-da-da-da.
The end of the book, though, would have been... Yeah, the end of the book. End of the third book would have been when he killed
Tyrion's condemned to... Yeah, that would have been...
Okay. Again,
Yeah.
big spoilers here, people. Again, if you're listening... Why are you listening to this if you don't know already? Anyways.
Sorry.
Yes, so he kills his father.
Yes.
And then... So think about it. You read this book. This book comes out in 2001. No, 2000. Sorry, 2000.
2000.
So you read this book in 2000. Tyrion just killed his dad. The next time you read a page about Tyrion, 11 years.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
11 years.
Because that's right. Because 4 and 5 were
right. They were like on top of each other, but there was no Tyrion, no Jon Snow, no Daenerys in that fourth book.
Yikes.
Fuck that, man. Fuck that.
Well, and again, more spoilers. In the North and the Riverlands, that was Red Wedding.
Right.
Third book.
Right. But you had stuff to go from there. So I mean, I don't think that wasn't like a bit, but like I mean, the Tyrion thing, like he gets let out and then that's it. Like what goes on? You got to wait 11 years to find out? Man, fuck that. And now like Jon Snow's been dead since 2011.
Yeah.
He's dead, but is he going to stay dead, right? Like, this is like... And this is now pushing 5 years.
Yeah.
And, I just don't understand... And I would be pissed if I was, like, a loyal book person. Like, if it was my thing, was reading these books.
Right.
To know that the show is going to end probably 4 to 5 years before the books do. Because you got to imagine, if the book's not... Now there's no rush for the book. Because you got to think that at some point, there's like, okay, we need the book out before season 6 airs. Well, now that's definitely not going to happen. Now there's no rush at all.
Right.
So now maybe we see the book next year. Maybe we see the book in 2017.
We might see it before the next season, before season 7.
Right.
Yeah.
But then now season 7's going to air, and then season 8's going to air, and so season 8 will air in 18, right? Yes. Yeah. So season 8 airs in 2018, and we probably don't see this season 8. Sorry, yeah. So we probably don't see the last book until 2020. I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna put it out there right now. We'll come back in 4 years. No,
Jeez.
fuck. No, because that's only 4 years away. No way, man. We're not gonna see that book until. We're not gonna see the last book until 2025.
Whoa.
I will be old in 2020. I don't even want to say it out loud.
Don't even want to say that number out loud. Oh my god.
That's 2025. That's what I'm saying.
If this show is still going on, I'll be impressed.
Well, the show won't be going on. The show will be over. Show's over after 8th season.
Yeah?
Yeah, well, that's what they've said. You think they're going to do more after? I don't know, man. See, the problem is the quality of this season was much, much lower than any of the other ones. Like, quality of... the production quality is still very good, and the acting is very good. I think the stories, because they're deviating so much, have lost...
Well, they got to start picking it up because it's the only story that's going on right now, right?
Right, and that's what worries me, is that I don't think it's going to be as good.
Maybe.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
I hope it still is good, but we'll have to we will wait and see. So 2018 we'll finish the show.
2018 the show should be done.
And then we'll come back 10 years after that and do a recap of all the books.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe.
Right?
Sounds like a plan.
Jesus.
Yep. Wild. Okay, well, I think that's all I have for this week. Did you have anything else?
All I have to say is, George, get writing.
Fuck, man, stop looking at Reddit. That's the problem. You know, he wakes up and he's like, all right, today's the day. I'm writing a whole Theon chapter. Let's go. And then he sits down at the computer and he's like, oh man, I wonder what's going on Reddit. Oh man, let's see what's... Yeah, right. Like, no, and he's not even on the Game of Thrones Reddit. He's just, you know, Reddit's got the random button.
Yeah,
he's just hitting the random Reddit button, and gets lost in Reddit for hours at a time.
On, like, the random Reddits. He's on the Bachelor Reddit.
Exactly. He's like, oh, let's see what these weird anime fans are saying about the show they like.
Somebody should kidnap him.
Like the movie Misery.
Yeah.
Hit his leg with the sledgehammer.
Without any internet.
Right. And just say,
here's laptop, and all that's on the laptop is Word. Or whatever writing.
Yeah, Pages. It's a MacBook Pro. He's got Pages. He's fine. So, okay, now let me ask you this.
Yes.
Is there a possibility that he wants it to be shocking, right? Because this is his style. Is he doesn't like to do the norm. Maybe too many people are on to like what's going on, and so he needs to like really like rework things.
Maybe,
you know, like, and maybe he really wants the show to deviate from the books. Like maybe he wants the books to be totally different at the end, and he's like, well, this is where the show should go. Tells the showrunners, hey, do this, and then he can be like, hey guys, I know the show sucked at the end, but come read the books because. Maybe. It's way better. Like, it's totally a possibility.
Yeah, it's a possibility for sure. Interesting.
But, all right. Well, yeah, we're going to call it there.
Yeah. Okay.
Just start writing, George.
George, write.
Right.
Do it now.
Right. Do it right. Now. Do it right now. Right now. Bye. Stop listening to our podcast.
Save as.